feel that knock? I feel like Rocky in this one, baby. Let's go. Alright, check it. Blast from the past, back from the future. So if I pull the trigger in the past, know you and your future. I'm still hustling, still hugging the block. The referee to the shit, I'm still calling them shots. I can't be stopped, that's what I told you. I'm living my life like a box of Crayolas. I'm cutting up white, smoking that green. Purple color pens, I'm still making this cream. I'm so sick, check my throat quick. My wrist light up a room like a handful of glow stick. I'm like spoiled milk, the kids gone bad. Then it's the minutes my pen touches the pad.
Welcome to the Rick Gates Show. So we just wrapped up the 2 a.m. crew. Today we recorded on Monday, hence why I couldn't record this episode at 9 o'clock on Mondays like I normally do. So my apologies for that, but we are back on time, on brand. Well, not on time. It's 11:30 at night, but today's episode is called No Blueprint, and I'll get into the discussion of what that means and what the topic tonight is. Last week it was reset. I'm sort of rebranding the show, and I have a couple episodes I want to get out the way before I continue interviewing other individuals and sharing their stories and maybe some life lessons they've learned along the way, and then having fun with individuals that I know and have created relationships with. But before I do that, this episode is called No Blueprint. So, as you all know, father of 3, married man. And sometimes I feel as if there isn't a book or like nowadays you could go to Google for things, you could read up on things, you could ask it all the questions, but um, how to be a great husband and a man and a great father, it's just not something you could read up or research or look for online, because every situation is different. So this one's called No Blueprint, and I feel like it's a perfect segue from Reset. So Reset was about the show, the space that I'm currently in, and what you can expect from the show moving forward. No Blueprint is where I tackle one of my titles, which is, well, father and husband, which they both coincide with. It's part of what being a man is. So that's what no blueprint means. And no blueprint means there isn't like a source or a book, like I said, or Google search or whatever search you can do to find answers to some of the situations you find yourself in or for advice. So that's why I named this episode No Blueprint. Um, so I kind of pretty much already answered this question, no blueprint personally. So uh I grew up in a single parent household. My mother raised me with my 3 siblings, and it was a much different dynamic than what my kids are currently growing up in. My mother's sisters, my aunts, my godmother, my grandmother, they were heavily involved in my upbringing. So were my uncles, but I don't want this to come off in the wrong way. My uncles were involved, especially my uncle Raymond. But I always felt growing up, my mother and her sisters, my aunts, were really, really invested in me, per se, and my siblings growing up and not feeling like we were missing anything. And like life was normal. I mean, personally, I feel like I had a great childhood. Um, but they were there on the day to day. My mom and my aunts, my grandmother, um, my cousins as well, my older cousins, and they they took the time. They made sure I was studying, made sure I understood. They tried to give me as much skills as I can possibly get. They disciplined me. They tried to make sure that I kept my innocence, but also was aware of my surroundings and what was going on in the world. Um, so that normally, and I don't want to say normally because every situation is different. All the stuff I was getting from these women and my uncles was normally something you get from a father figure or a male figure in your life that's a constant person, that you develop a bond with. So I didn't have that, but my cousins did. Like my cousin Emmanuel, obviously, my uncle was involved in his life. AJ, my uncle was involved in his life. Gene's dad was involved in his life. Um, because I mentioned those three because we're the exact same age, so we were always grouped together along with Desiree. um, and my uncles were fantastic. They always involved me in everything, and um, I never felt as if like I was the odd man out. But there were times as I got older, I realized, you know, Emmanuel has like these special things he does with his father. So there's Gene, so there's AJ. I don't have those things, so I don't know what those things are. Um, but now that I'm older and I'm a father of three, a question that I always ask myself: Am I doing a good job? Am I a good dad to my kids? Um, what kind of dad should I be? What kind of dad did I need? What kind of dad do they need? Because we have completely different upbringings. So um, these are a lot of things that go through my mind, and I feel like I wrote some questions down and I wrote it down in this episode. I feel like addressing it, putting out there, um, feeling comfortable sharing these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions, might make it okay for other fathers, to share their stories, and maybe other fathers could reach out and give me their perspective on things and tell me how they're feeling. So this is a really good episode. And no, I'm not doing this because Father's Day is coming up or whatever. No, it's just one of the subjects I wanted to tackle before, when we were relaunching the show. So that's what it means to me. That's why this episode's named No Blueprint. Um, did I realize growing up I was missing guidance? Like I said before, I didn't. You know, I felt like I knew. I have five aunts, and I had a amazing grandmother. And I have some fantastic uncles. My uncle Raymond was an amazing human being. Special education teacher, died very young, was always the one that went out of his way to make sure my cousins and I knew what was going on in the world, tried to educate us, took us to museums, and um, tried to instill life lessons, because they were first they were born and raised in DR, and they were moving into this world for a better life, and that better life wasn't for them, it was more for us. And I felt like my uncle understood that early on, and my aunt Candida, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and they made it their life's work to be available, be accessible, um, and give us experiences, right? Uh, my uncle passed away too early on for me to even begin to really understand. Like as a man now and as an older man, I mean, he was 35, I'm 41. So all the things that he did for me, I appreciate them so much more as I got older and I realized what he was exactly doing for me. He was so wise beyond his years, and um he wanted to give something back to us, not anything monetary. I feel like he really changed our perspective in life. And he was the first person that when he passed, it was the first time I would think it was 16, 17, 18, whatever. Um, it was the first time I was experiencing loss for the first time. Um, and he gave me so much, but I didn't understand it at the time and I didn't realize it. So, I really do appreciate everything. And I wish someday I'm able to, I know he knows, but it would have been nice to, you know, have him around and be able to express how much, I appreciate everything he did for me. And um, he would have really loved my wife and my three children. And it would have been amazing to have him around. So um, I never realized it was missing, like I said. So besides him, you know, my mom is one of six women, and my grandmother had 10 children. Uh, I have five amazing aunts. You know, my early years I spent it in the Dominican Republic with my grandmother and my godmother, who's my godmother is my mother's oldest sister. Um, I lived a great life down there. I enjoyed it very much so. Although I did miss being with my own mom, I appreciated what I got from my grandmother, my godmother, and my cousins. Uh, my aunt Maria was I'm gonna go one by one. So my aunt Maria was someone that I always felt like she talked to us as adults. She wouldn't talk to us as kids. Like she had adult conversations with us, and she would ask us those questions. Well, why did you feel that way? Maybe you should have approached it this way. Maybe you should have approached it that way. Like she was always very calm when she had like a conversation with us growing up, and I always felt like if there was someone I could go to and ask questions to get a different perspective, it would be her, right? Uh, my aunt Aracelis was the fun aunt. She always was. She was my mom's youngest sister. She was experiencing life here as a teenager. Again, born and raised in DR, and then brought over here as a teenager, and she was figuring things out. Her and Candida, right? My godmother lived in DR. She was married, had children. She established structure, respect in me, and um, gave me fantastic memories down in the Dominican Republic. That's China, and I mentioned Maria. Chabela was the caregiver. We call her Bella. She was always the aunt that always said yes. I'll watch the kids. Um, I'll cook for them. I'll clean for them. She was always there. She was the person you could always lean on. And she's the second oldest. And she was it's different because some of my aunts are very, you know, they were older and they were more Dominican culture, making sure the culture stays alive. Then there was like an in between, and then we had Candida and Aracelis who were brought over here as teenagers. Um, so it was like a good dynamic. Bella always was the caretaker. Candida was the one that would wanted to provide structure, vision, planning, wanted you to do well in school. She was hell bent on making sure that you did your homework and you understood what you were doing, what you were reading. Um, made made sure that you understood that. I think all kids go through this in Spanish households. Like you never want to eat the cooked food when you're young, but when you're older, you're like, oh my god, I was such an idiot. She wanted us to know, like, hey, not everybody gets a home cooked meal. So she wanted us to appreciate life, understand what school meant and what we needed to do there, and push us to be the best person that we could be. Uh, like I said, and then Araceli was the younger aunt that was in closer in age, could relate to you, but wanted to have fun, wanted to show you what fun was, wanted to show you what this like my music taste. Some of it comes from her. Like very early on, she would show me different kinds of music. It wasn't just um, you know, Juan Luis Guerra or Fernandito Villalona or like Dominican artists. It was a different. It was like a melting pot of everything she would bring to the table. So, did I think I was missing guidance? No. Um, my uncles were there to provide a male example and for advice, but each one of my uncles, with the exception of Raymond, had their own family to tend to. So it wasn't like they could dedicate a whole lot of time to me personally on a one-on-one level. Only my uncle Raymond could do that. So I didn't really feel like I was missing um, a guidance, but I did was aware of the situation that I did not have someone who was there to bring me along the way. And it became more apparent as I got older and I got into my teenage years. Um, my mother was very good. I always say this, I think my mother was the type of mother that I needed for me specifically. Uh, my mother, yes, she has rules and there were certain things she wanted done, but she was very understanding. Um, she would, again, like Maria, like talk to me in a manner where she wanted me to understand, right? Um, I'm asking you to do this because of this, because this is what's going on. And I need to, for example, like if when I was younger, I went out, and as most young teenagers do, they want to party and hang out and do as much as they can and not have to be on the phone with their mom or my mother's is like, and I remember when she told me this, and I appreciated the way she did it. She said, I'm not calling you to harass you. I'm not calling you to be on the phone with you. I'm not calling you to interrupt what you're doing. I'm calling you to know exactly where you are, when you're coming home, what situation are you in, and if you need me, right? And without me speaking to her, she can't make that assessment. So if I'm ignoring her, I'm making it difficult for her to do her job as my mother. And I know after that conversation that I had with her, I would always check in with her just so she could know I was fine and I was okay. Um, and I wasn't doing anything where where I wouldn't be able to, you know, get home or get in trouble or whatever it may be. So I really didn't realize when I was in those years that I was missing guidance. The moment in time that I realized when I was missing guidance, uh, I don't want to say when I met my wife, but when her and I started dating, we come from different upbringings, and just meeting her parents and seeing what they're like with her and their interactions and what her relationship is with her mother, what her relationship is with her father. And to me, in my eyes, I was like, man, me and her, we have completely different like upbringings. And I see the world a specific way because of that. And she sees it a different way because of that. Um, so that's when I kind of realized, and I wouldn't say guidance. I would say she was a little bit more prepared and had like again, you know, if she needed something about X, she could go to her dad, or something about Y, she would go to her mom. I had, if I needed something, I'd have to figure out who I have to go to for that specific uh, conversation or specific advice. Um, so, not that I was missing anything because I wasn't. And my family, and when I say my family, I mean my mom, my grandmother, and my aunts. They did a wonderful job of just instilling it with me and giving me advice and life lessons that I needed growing up, right? Um, did I complete college at a timely manner? No. Did I have a career ready? No. But was I a person with passion who was discovering themselves? Yes. And was I a good person at my core? Yes. And did I know exactly where I wanted to be? Yes. And those are important things because I feel like there's a lot of people in this world who are lost, who they might have the college degree, they might have um, an idea of where they want to go, but they don't have the work ethic, the passion, or the conviction to follow through with those things. And I feel like I got that from them. Um, so that's kind of the answer to that question. And it was very long winded, over 10 minutes, but that's where that is. When did you feel the pressure of having to figure things out myself? Um, when I got when I started dating my wife, right, I learned a lot of things about myself with her and through her. Um, I started to figure like, hey, I'm in a space where a few people in my family have gone through it. Maybe a few people could relate to me. Um, but I'm charting waters here that maybe some of the people that I normally go to might not be able to. They could give me advice, but they might not be able to relate to me per se at that moment in time. Um, so I would say that, and it's been a amazing journey since. I'm gonna say that, right? I've learned so much about myself. I've grown as an individual and as a person. There's some things that I've learned from her and from her family that have kind of completed a piece of where I needed to go, right? Um, so it kind of isn't a blueprint, but I kind of, as I got older, was starting to figure things out on my own. Um, and I kind of watched and read stuff um, to prepare myself to like understand, figure out, and I wouldn't. I'm not talking about like I read a book on how to be successful in marriage or how to be. No, I watched interviews, which is what I do now, which is coincidentally like my favorite things to do is watch interviews of individuals who I connect with. I don't want to say I'm a fan of. I'm gonna say that I connect with because I feel like at the core, a fan is a person that connects with someone somehow on some level, right? So I've watched interviews of people I connected with, and I've read biographies of people who I admire their story, and then I feel like I could learn something from. So that's kind of like what I did along the way. Um, and as much as I didn't want to hear it, I always tried to be as honest as possible with myself. Now, what I mean when I say that is when I looked in the mirror, if I did something wrong, I would I would talk to myself. Like not, you know, but I would keep it real with myself and understand what I was doing. And if it was wrong or right, I would hold myself accountable to those things. Um so this is where kind of like the metamorphosis of things started happening. Um and what inspired me to finally talk about this publicly is I don't think it's an inspiration. I think when I sat down to reset or redo this podcast, something I was getting out of it was I love doing the interviews, I love doing the shows, I love producing the content, but I felt like it was also therapeutic, right? When I would interview these guests on the show, I would relate with them or connect with them some form or fashion, and they would inspire me. Right? There were people from similar backgrounds as me, and they would give me their story and share with me what they did to get to where they wanted to go, and how they found out what their vision was. So when I sat to reset this show and redo it again, uh, I wanted it to be entertaining, yes, but I wanted to be more personable. I wanted the show to be about me specifically. I mean, the goddamn show has my name on it now. Um, and I wanted to get something out of it. And I also wanted to speak about things that I've never spoke about publicly. Like I did over 200 episodes, and there was bits and pieces here where I spoke about my personal life and me personally. I always interviewed a guest, had a topic, a conversation, and I learned what that was and how to interview, how to conduct an interview, how to keep things interesting, how to move the conversation on, and so on and so forth. And people would tune into the podcast for the guests, but not me. So I felt like when I was going to relaunch the show, I wanted them to get to know me personally first. And I wanted to share stories that they can connect with and they can feel like, hey, man, I'm actually going through that as well. So this is what inspired me to finally talk about this and the future episodes you'll be seeing on this show. Now, why do so many men suffer in silence with this? I don't know if they suffer in silence. I just think men choose to um, share with whoever they want to share and be personable with whoever they want to be personable. I think there's an idea out there of what a man is, and it could be truth or it could be false. Growing up as a kid, you were told that the man went out there, made all the money, came back and provided, and was the law in the house, and yada, yada, yada. Yes, but I don't think that's the full story, and I don't think that's how it worked. I think any successful marriage is a collaboration, and it's takes communication, hard work, and sacrifice as well. And what's the word? Damn, it's there. It's another synonym for sacrifice or whatever, but compromise, and it takes compromise. So I think. that's what that is. So do we really know what the idea of a man is? And now there's this thought where like, well, men are men. You know, they're not like they used to be. They don't build them like they used to be. I think with times things change. People need to learn how to grow, adapt, um, and be able to change according to the times. Three things that I've learned in my entire life is always keep an open heart. I'm sorry, always keep a open mind, a compassionate heart for everyone, and always know that hard work always pays off no matter what. So those are three things I try to establish and I try to do and I try to live by every day. So do men suffer with this silently? I don't know. I mean, there's people that have advocated for men to speak up more and be more vocal. And I think in doing so, there's more benefits than negatives. One of the things I don't care about what someone thinks about me. I only care about what I think about myself and what my loved ones think about me. So if I share something and people are like, "Oh, I don't agree with that," I could care less. This is not about what your opinion of me is. This is me sharing something with you, and if you relate with it, cool. And if there's something that you can share with me, glad to hear it. So, um, yeah, I don't think they really suffer. I just think certain people are influenced by the wrong ideas. And I think a healthy dialogue will always, bring up an idea or an emotion that you haven't thought of on your own or by yourself. So it's always good to convey how you're feeling at that moment in time. So yeah, um, we're gonna take a small break, uh, but we'll be right back with more of the
You feel that now? I feel like Rocky in this one, baby. Let's go. Alright, check it. Blast from the past, back from the future. So if I pull the trigger in the past, know you and your future. I'm still hustling, still hugging the block. The referee to the shit, I'm still calling them shots. I can't be stopped, that's what I told you. I'm living my life like a box of Crayolas. I'm cutting up white, smoking that green. Purple color pens, I'm still making this cream. I'm so sick, check my throat quick. My wrist light up a room like a handful of glow stick. I'm like spoiled milk, the kid's gone bad. Then it's the minutes my pen touches the pad.
welcome back, welcome back. So I recorded the 2 a.m. crew and I'm recording this pod now. And I've been drinking water and beer, so I needed to use the restroom. So sorry about that full break, but it's this episode is called No Blueprint for that reason, right? Um, I spoke about my upbringing. I spoke about myself, things that I've learned, how I view things, how I deal with things. I always in the morning reflect a lot. Um, I listen to music. I have questions about myself and things about the situations that I find myself in. Um, and I try to think of solutions. or how can I improve things? Every day I always think, how can I make this better? How can I make that better? How can I make things at work better? How can I make my things at life better and at home better? How can I improve my kids' lives? Am I doing a great job? That's something I feel everyone needs to do. And if you aren't doing so, then there's that again, that peace, that drive, that ambition. It's missing. So in the mornings I do that. Um, and I always feel a certain amount of gratitude in the morning. And I try to find inspiration. And by what I mean by that is something that either a message, a song, a book, a conversation with an individual that's gonna get me um, motivated or fired up to tackle the day, right? Usually with the sports show, it's usually, you know, a win or a loss from one of our teams. That could get you going. Motivating things for me are personal things, you know, did my wife had a great day? Did my kids have a good day? Or um, I assess relationships, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my son, my relationship with my two daughters, and how can I improve those things? So those are the things that I think about in the morning and where I'm lacking in those areas. Um, excuse me. So now we're speaking about the husband and father figure part, right? There really is no blueprint because every situation is different. Every relationship is different. Every dynamic is different because every person is different. Um, in my relationship, which I'm going to talk about me and my wife, right? I I didn't know it at the time, but it was when we started dating. Like it was exactly what I needed, right? Um, she has a ton of qualities that I don't have, and she's relentless, she's driven, she's smart, she's funny, um, and she's a great partner and a great mom, right? And when you're trying to have a relationship with someone, you shouldn't be looking for like, oh, I want to have a great relationship with this person. It should be more who's a great partner and good match for me, right? Obviously, attraction plays a part and the physical plays a part. Yes. But outside of those things, you got to dig a little deeper, right? Is this someone that wants the best interest for myself and them? Is this someone that our goals align? Is this someone that's gonna push me and I push that person? Is this the person I want to just be at home and watch television with? Is this a person that I want raising my children? So a lot of factors go into play when you're trying to figure out who's gonna be your yeah, they're your girlfriend and your fiance, but your partner in life. Because technically, when you're looking for a wife, that's what you should be looking for. A partner in life that 30, 40 years from now, everybody has their disagreements and their conversations and their moments. But 30 or 40 years from now, can you sit at home and do the little things with this person? Or are you going to be enthusiastic about, I said astics, enthusiastic about just sitting at home watching a film or going out to dinner or spending time alone? Is this the person that's going to um, tend to you when needed? And For me, I'm lucky. I feel like she checks all those boxes, right? And I'm not like a really emotional person, I don't really express myself like that. Um there's times where you feel it and you say it, right? That's me. I don't do it every day. I don't, you know, but there's those moments where I feel like it's necessary to voice that and voice what that person means to you. And I do it. And she understands me and she understands how I am, and she knows when I say something, it's I'm not just saying it to say it. But that's just me. Um and when it comes to my kids, I question everything I do, everything I say to them. I ask my wife, like, am I doing this the right way? Um, is it better to be feared or to be loved? A lot of questions come into play, especially with them. Um, because I just want to join them as much as possible, but I gotta keep in mind that I'm the person, one of the two people that's in charge of making sure that these individuals have what they need when they're adults and are able to maintain and make great decisions on their own. So it's very difficult. It's a very thin line to walk every day. Sometimes you feel like, am I am I being too stern, or am I being too soft? I don't know if all parents go through that, but I certainly do, and I always question, like, where I am with them, and what kind of personal one-on-one relationship I have. Three, so I have with them. Am I a good dad? Am I giving them that piece of nugget that when they're 25, they're gonna be like, well, my dad always said this and this was true, or my mom always said this and that was true. So there really isn't a roadmap for that. But there is people who have been there before, right? And for me, I speak to, my friends or peers that have children and go through the same situation as I do, to see if it's just me. And then when you realize it's not just you, like, they're going through the same thing, then you have that conversation like, well, what do you do? This is what I do. This is what we go through. This is who we reach out to. Um, and it's great connecting and sharing those things. And then I speak to the people that have been there and done that before. Because as much as you don't want to hear it when you're young, and as much as you don't want to hear it when you're old, people that have been there, done that before, they could tell you how the story goes from a perspective of where it's going. So there really isn't a blueprint. There really isn't. There wasn't for me, and not just because of my upbringing, but I believe there isn't a blueprint for anybody. I firmly and solely believe it depends on you as a person, what you want to do, where you want to go, and you got to figure out how you're going to do that. And you got to assess yourself every day. Am I working towards that? And if you're not, you got to be real with yourself. Um, if I want to get to this spot, or You're a person who doesn't want to be married, doesn't want to have children, but you want to be as successful at a specific singular goal. And I believe you have to become obsessed with what it is that you want to do. And like I said, hard work, right? Hard work and dedication will always trump everything else. Some people take shortcuts, there's nepotism, there's all that. But the road to get to where you're going is what teaches you how to stay there, right? So never take that for granted. So, in closing, there isn't a blueprint, but there are sources for you to go to. And there is yourself to self evaluate what it is exactly that you want to do. And I hope you guys got something out of today's episode. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email me at therickashow@gmail.com or send me a direct message. Till then, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. If you're listening to this after it was recorded, and if you have suggestions or comments or anything, or you want to be a guest on the show, just let me know. I'll see you again on Monday, 9 o'clock. Till then, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And let's go Knicks. I'll see you guys.
You feel that now? I feel like Rocky in this one, baby. Let's go. Alright, check it. Blast from the past, back from the future. So if I pull the trigger in the past, know you and your future. I'm still hustling, still hugging the block. The referee to the shit, I'm still calling them shots. I can't be stopped. That's what I told you. I'm living my life like a box of Crayolas. I'm cutting up white, smoking that green. Purple color pens, I'm still making this cream. I'm so sick, check my throat quick. My wrist light up a room like a handful of glow sticks. I'm like spoiled milk, the kid's gone bad. Then it's the minutes my pen touches the pad.